All right, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Non Sequitur Nerds. As always, I'm Tim, joined by Ian. Ian, how you doing today?
Hey Tim, doing good. How are you? I would point, but I don't have the software set up so that I know exactly where you are in the capture device.
It's
So,
yeah. For those of you watching this on YouTube, we're trying something new. We're going to be doing video on our YouTube channel so that you guys can actually see something instead of just staring at a blank image. You're to my right, so on my screen. So I think if you point to your left, your other left.
that that is my left.
Okay, you're right then. I don't know. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we got it. We got it. Okay.
Okay, probably something we should have figured out before we started recording. But
It's
anyway,
fine.
hi everybody. Yeah. So, unfortunately for you all, you get to look at our ugly mugs, especially Tim's.
It's fine.
Um, get a haircut, you hippie.
I'm the cute one.
Yeah, obviously I don't need a haircut.
I mean,
I just shaved my head this morning, actually.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So, uh, what were we talking about again?
I think we have a podcast or something that we do, maybe.
I think so. Moving on. So,
We're off to a great
welcome,
start.
folks. Yes, welcome, folks. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna have a little fun tonight
Oh yeah.
and talk something that seems to be very prevalent in media industry, Hollywood, games, pretty much everywhere, which is the death of originality.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not really death of originality, but reboot,
Reboots,
remaster,
remakes,
and yeah, reboot, remaster, and re-release culture. Uh,
reimaginings.
Imagineering. I'm gonna get sued by Disney now.
I mean, probably.
Yeah, you don't mess with the House of Mouse. Anyway,
No, no, you do not.
so tonight we're gonna talk about some of these things because I think a lot of us have run into this lately, and I don't know. Maybe we're just getting desensitized to it. It just seems
Maybe.
to happen. It just seems to happen so often. But and I'll actually lead the conversation here by bringing up a remaster, not even a remaster, maybe, I don't know, re-release,
Okay.
which is Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is coming out in May,
You're looking
which
forward to
is
that.
very much so. It is one of my absolute all-time favorite series. Before, I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before,
Mhm.
um,
Almost as
but
often as we've mentioned you a bowl. Which, hey, there it is.
Ding! Right there. There's the check mark. We need to get some like a graphic designer to just like so we can have like these weird overlays where just, every time we mention it, just a
Boop,
hash mark
boop,
comes up on the screen. It's our UA bowl counter.
There we go.
Anyway,
Patented.
patented. So Mass Effect Legendary Edition comes out in the coming months here in May 2021. For those of you who are watching these out of order or not when we release them. Um, so it's not a remake.
Mm.
It's a remaster,
Yep.
really. Graphic upscaling, those kind of things. They're tweaking some of the combat and things and the visuals of Mass Effect One. Really adding some spit and polish to the entire series, and it's just the original trilogy plus available DLCs. Which, if you haven't heard, they're going to be missing um, the Pinnacle Station DLC from Mass Effect One, and
Oh,
it's an interesting and sad story because that DLC was outsourced to another studio
oh, okay.
who wound up having basically their servers melted down
Ooh.
and the source code got corrupted so badly that it was unusable.
Oh man, I hadn't
So
heard about that.
yeah, the studio was really sad about it. The BioWare looked at what they could of the source code, but it was literally so bad that they could basically take their team and spend 6 months rebuilding the DLC from scratch,
Yeah.
or they could just spend that time on spit and polish for the remaster and release it. And the Pinnacle Station DLC wasn't really germane to the story. It was
Yeah.
basically like an arena fighter type thing. Like,
Oh, yes. I mean, that's like I don't know about you, but for me, I'd much rather them put an extra 6 months of polish on that game instead of 6 months working on an arena.
right. I mean, it served no. I mean, it was just like a fun little side thing. Like, it served no practical purpose to the story. But anyway, we're getting off topic again. So yeah, they're doing this re-release, remaster of one of my all-time favorite series. I've spent probably 300-400 hours playing that.
Honestly, yeah, you've played it quite a bit.
between multiple playthroughs of the games, and then my ridiculous amount of time spent playing the multiplayer in Mass Effect 3.
Mm.
um I've had a lost shouldn't say lost, I enjoyed many hours in that game. But so they're remastering the game
Mhm.
and releasing it. I'm really excited about it. It does make me a little happy because I think it renews interest in the series after
Mhm.
kind of the flop of Andromeda.
Right. See,
um
I think, I mean, you and I kind of touched on this a little bit. Like, I played Andromeda. I enjoyed it. Did never beat it, but I enjoyed it. But I mean, I'm kind of in the very small minority of people. Most people won't even touch Andromeda if they like the original Mass Effect trilogy.
I think the problem that Andromeda suffered is multi-tier.
Mhm.
So first and foremost, the game was about 65% done when the
Yeah.
overlords at EA came in and said, "Hey guys, this looks really awesome. We're really excited about this. By the way, you need to take our Frostbite engine and do everything in Frostbite now, rather than the
Yeah.
engine we were doing." And BioWare went, "Nani?"
Right. I mean,
Um,
that's a heck of a thing to drop on any kind of a team making any kind of product, to go, all right, cool, hey
right.
guys, we're in the home stretch and now we have to completely change everything.
Right. I mean, that's basically like Bungie doing Halo and
Yeah.
then Microsoft going in and going, "Oh, cool. Awesome, guys. So we licensed Unreal Engine. You got to use this now.
Right.
And you have to still make your release deadline."
Yeah, kind of a crap thing to
Um
do, honestly.
yeah, so it suffered graphically from there because Frostbite wasn't really baked in yet. Like
Right.
it wasn't ready to go. I mean, they tried to use Andromeda as like a flagship for Frostbite and it just didn't work.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a good engine now, but that's also been a couple years, you know.
several years.
Yeah.
But so it suffered from that. It suffered, from graphical and bug type glitches, which are not uncommon
Yeah.
in really any games. I mean, it wasn't
Well,
near
especially
as
this day and age.
it wasn't cyberpunk bad, but it was
They're
uh
still working on it.
right. But they're what is it, V1.2? It doesn't have a release date yet. So
No,
anyway,
but I mean, at least they've said some of the stuff they're gonna, as of today anyway. They said some of the stuff that they're gonna be implementing into it, letting people know, hey, look, we're still working on this. They had that big data breach, what, like a
oh yeah, they
month
got
ago.
ransomware.
Yeah,
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 they
they
tried to
did.
hijack. They got their code hacked. So beware clicking on emails talking about penis enlargement. Especially on a corporate computer. But anyway, so
Very true.
they they suffered from that, and
Mhm.
there were some graphical things that were kind of wonky. Like
Yeah,
the weird things where Ryder looks like he or she is running, with saddle sores, kind of
yeah,
like bow-legged type thing, or
yep.
some of the weird graphical things, and it was also kind of panned because some of the characters almost felt like reused.
Mhm.
The Krogan Drax was basically just Rex. Like
Yeah,
I mean, that was really all like he was Andromeda version of Rex. So they kind of suffered a little bit from some lack of originality and type things. And
yeah. I'll
I
give you that
loved
for sure.
the gameplay in it, and being able to switch your power sets and everything like that was really cool.
Mhm.
The multiplayer, which I really loved in 3, really suffered in this one though because
See, I didn't even touch the multiplayer in Andromeda actually.
the problem was is that no single class could play on its own. Like,
Oh, you
because
had
the
to have a
entire
team.
yeah, well, it wasn't even that you had to have a team. You had to have complementing powers because
Mm.
it was barely any single class was barely able to do like combo detonations
Okay.
that you could usually do in Mass Effect 3, where you throw you hit somebody with a biotic throw
Yeah.
or lift, and then you hit them with a biotic throw and it makes them explode. The power sets didn't allow you to do that. You got like you almost never had two powers that would allow you to do a detonation. So
Right.
you were reliant on somebody else setting you up, or you setting up
Oh,
someone else to do these detonations. And it was just
gotcha.
like, so okay, it's like, okay, you felt really gimped because you're like,
Mm.
well, I can use my crappy weapon, or I can use, half of my power sets and
Right.
hope that I have somebody that's hanging around near me that can help. But anyway,
Right.
so they're re-releasing. It's rebuilding, I think, hype for the series, which is awesome because they've announced Mass Effect 4, which is going to
Right.
be a direct continuation of Mass Effect 3, at least from what we can tell. They feature Liara, who is in, one of the characters, and examining the video, you don't see her for very long. You only see kind of a very short close up of her face, and then you see a very short, brief close up of her face, but you can kind of see some age lines
Right.
under her eyes. So
Well,
it
and her
makes it
her race lives a
a
long
thousand
while.
years,
Yeah,
a
they live a
thousand years
long
plus,
while.
and she was only about 120 at the end of Mass Effect 3.
So I mean, she's still got a
So
good part of her life ahead of her then.
right. So anyway, what I'm getting around to is the fact that that a remaster or a re-release like that can help build hype. It's not necessarily just a cash grab. In the
Right.
case of EA, I kind of believe that yes, it's mostly intended to be a cash grab
A little
because
bit. Little bit.
you know
It's EA.
EA, it's EA, extra assholes. Um, but
now, are you saying that they're just more of an asshole than other people are, or they in fact have extra assholes? Because there needs to be a distinction here, Ian.
I don't necessarily think there needs to be a
It could be
distinction.
both. You know,
I think it's both. They want you to pucker up
kiss
and
every single asshole.
yes, exactly. But
That's
so
that's
I've
EA. We're not getting sponsored by them.
correct until I see a check, I'm not going to believe anything. But yeah, so there's opportunity there. I think there's it's really good. In this case to kind of re-spark interest in an IP. And
Oh yeah,
the
absolutely.
Mass Effect was beloved in its time, and I think bringing it back is gonna one open it up to another generation of gamers
Oh yeah,
as
absolutely.
this amazingly well crafted story, and again drum
With
up
an okay
interest.
trilogy ending.
Yeah, I mean they kind of fixed it. I mean
Yeah.
they went better, and hopefully 4 will actually tie it all together.
Yeah, let's
Um,
hope. That I mean that
right,
I remember when that happened,
it'll
like everybody was talking about that.
yeah, it'll be like the Persian rug. It's going to tie everything together.
There you go.
Uh, anyway, so yeah, I think there's opportunity here, but so there are some good things that a remaster or re-release can do.
Like good example in my opinion, one that I know you haven't played yet, the Final Fantasy VII remaster. Which I mean they completely anybody that hasn't played it, if you have a PlayStation, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, absolutely play the remake. Um, they completely rebuilt it from the ground up. It wasn't just slapping a new coat of paint on it and calling it a day. They completely remade the environments, the characters, the combat system.
Right. So that
I
is a
don't want to
remake.
get too spoily. They tweak the story a little bit. I don't want to get too spoilery, but play it if you get a chance.
Yeah.
And see that
So that in
I thought was a good representation of a remake because it was
yes,
completely remade. Um,
yes.
did
Now
not.
that said, I do know some hardcore fanboys that were like, "Nee,
Yeah.
you ruined my beloved 7,"
Right.
even though you only got the first like what part of of disc 1
You,
of the game
you
of
you get to the point where if you haven't played the original 7 at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm out of the statute of limitations on spoilers at this point.
well, we'll
Um,
just say this: you get out of Midgard, right?
exactly. Yes, you get to the point where you get
That's
out
where
of
it ends.
Midgar. But yeah, I can, having played the whole thing, I can see where some of the fanboys would be a little upset by it. Me personally, I like the fact that it was something new. Like I knew kind of what to expect, but I got pleasantly surprised by it because they did change
Mhm.
just enough that it felt like something new to me. I got to revisit these characters that I loved when I played the game the first time. I got to
Right.
experience it in a whole new way, and I got some twists that I wasn't expecting, and
Mhm.
I'm thoroughly happy with that.
Yeah, I mean that I think is an okay example of a good, well, an opportune
Yes.
remake. I can't really give my opinion on it because again I haven't played it.
Yeah.
my friend Cody, he hasn't played it either, but he's kind of the the derisive side of things, where he's like, they've changed enough of it that it doesn't feel right.
Right.
Like, just from what he's seen of it, he doesn't feel like it feels right. But
Mhm.
what bothers me about that
Mhm.
is not so much the changes that they made, but the cash grab culture that is coming with it. Because I don't know if you've seen it, but Squeenix just recently announced a mobile game based on Final Fantasy VII
Yeah.
that looks awful. I mean, it's basically supposed to be like PUBG in Final Fantasy VII,
Yeah.
it's set in pre-7 time period in that
Ew.
universe, but it's PUBG style. Like, it's a battle royale mobile game, and it graphically it looks cool, but the
Yeah.
entire concept, I'm just like,
Like,
are you that desperate for money? Like, I
like,
realize Avengers sucked, but come on.
which I mean, that's another topic we'll get to here in a second. But I get it. You know, those kind of games are super popular right now, and like maybe if it was just set in the world of Seven, like maybe you were playing as random soldier. Okay, maybe that. I could maybe see a demographic for that. But like, does it feature the like characters from Seven? Because
It
I haven't looked into it beyond I know it's a thing.
Mm-mm.
I
As
don't.
far as I know, it does make your own character. You pick a
Okay.
class, like you pick weapons,
Okay.
but you can access the summons. Like, you access like summons, as part of the game.
Hmm.
So I don't know. They've only done like one initial trailer release for it,
Yeah.
and I sat there watching it, going,
Hmm.
like, it just hurt my heart watching this thing. And
Yeah.
maybe that was the bucket of fried chicken beforehand, but
I say
it's
I'm
still.
I'm gonna have to look into it more because like I thought somebody and maybe I'm just making this up. I could have swore that I read somewhere that it was going to be based on kind of off of the Crisis Core game, which I mean is pre seven, um, and like I played the crap out of that on PSP, I think it was if I remember right, and I absolutely love the story of that. But I mean, if this is like a PUBG or a Fortnite kind of game. Again, not knocking those if they're your thing. Absolutely enjoy them.
Yeah.
I'm not the target audience. Sorry. Um,
Yeah. Well, that, and
but
it's mobile. Like, I
I
like
like
I'm on a 2-year-old cell phone, and it works perfectly fine for like Pokemon Go.
right.
But like,
Yeah, I know
it
that.
feels like they really targeting the people that have like the iPhone 12 Max triple jumbo awesome device that
Right.
has like CPU boost, and it's basically a pocket, a pocket gamepad type thing.
Right. Which
Not people that are running off of a 2-year-old Pixel 3 that
right, right.
I mean, again, I like my phone. It works
Yeah.
fine. It's
Like
just
I mean, I've got a couple games on my phone, but I'm not. I mean, pretty much it's to pass time if I'm waiting on something. Like if I'm stuck at a train at a crossing, or if I'm waiting in an office for an appointment on something, I'll pull up my phone, play a game. But there's not really. I mean, even Pokemon Go, I don't really play that much anymore. There's not
I
really
know. You still have a gift that you need to pick up for me.
well, I'll get to it eventually. It's not gonna spoil, I hope. Unless it's a Pokemon, just remember to like put holes in the box this time. I have so many dead Pikachu's in my yard, Ian. It's not even funny. But
So you got a Pikachu.
it's Pika gangrene. But no. Anyway, I digress. You had mentioned Avengers a little bit ago. That recently got a. I'm not even sure. You can't really call it a remake. Can't really call it a reboot. It's upgrade to the next gen, which I know you and I have talked about next gen. We each bone. Wow, we each own the next gen consoles. Ian really likes his Xbox.
It's my sex box, and her name is Sony.
But we're seeing for this console generation. I'm noticing we're getting a lot of remasters of either early last gen titles or gen before that titles, or titles that were last gen that they just get an FPS boost and maybe like minor graphical enhancements. We're not we're not really getting a whole lot of new stuff. We're getting a lot of stuff we've already had, but either redone, re-released, or upscaled. We're
Right. Sorry, my kid decided she wants to come say hi.
well, hi.
Uh,
She missed Uncle Tim.
right.
gotta love kids. His kids, like he can hear me right now. His kids are all I adore them. They're awesome. But no, like I was saying, we're seeing a lot of stuff that we've already had before getting re-released, and sometimes it's like I said, not even remasters. It's just upscaled. Avengers is one of those. Like I picked it up. It was on sale. It was ironically the day that they announced that they were going to be doing a next gen upgrade for people that already owned it. I don't remember where I bought it from, but it was on sale for like $15.
I got it from my son for Christmas because it was after I got my 1S or my Series S.
Yeah.
So I upgraded their 360 to my old Xbox One.
Oh, there you go.
So he was able to play the newer games, and so I got him that one for Christmas, and he played it for a little while. He's actually real big into Destiny right now, which
Oh,
I don't know if I told you this, but he's been playing it lately. He's been doing PvP.
really?
And I was kind of worried about it, because I'm like, ooh, I don't know. The kid can be kind of competitive. Like I'm a little
Right.
worried about him being. He ran into my office the other day. He's like, Dad, guess what? What, kiddo? I was playing Gambit, and I was the invader, and I killed the entire enemy team. I'm like, you aced the entire enemy team? Yeah. Like,
Good
I'm
job,
I'm sitting there like I'm clapping, and at the same time I'm thinking, you little bastard, I can't even do that.
Dude, okay, like if we're on the topic of that, like my son, like you know how he is. He loves building things, whether it's in games or lately he's been into like I've been building Gundam models lately, and he's like, that looks neat. Can I do it too? But like he still loves Minecraft. That's still like one of his go-to games if he wants to make something.
Mm-hmm.
And the other day, I don't even remember what it was, but he was showing me something that he made with redstone, which, like, I have a passing knowledge of it. Like, I can make a simple redstone circuit. I can, make a lighting system. Nothing super advanced. He made, effectively, a Rube Goldberg device out of redstone, where you push a button, it opened a door, pushed a piston, which dropped down a chicken, and it did all this random stuff, and ultimately all it does is make the chicken fall in lava. But all you had to do is push one button, and he had figured out how to automate all that. And I'm like, okay, can you show me how to do that? And he goes, probably not. All right.
So what I'm hearing is that I'm raising probably an amateur pseudo professional gamer, and you're raising a future engineer.
I mean, I'm okay with this. I am okay with this.
Yes, yours will probably be taking care of you. I will be living in my basement until he's 65.
I mean, you got to take the wins where you can.
Right, that's why I have 3 of them. I can at least hope that one of them will eventually, grow up to amount to something.
Well, I mean, there you go.
Ash, if you see this, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
if you're a millionaire by the time you see this, Uncle Tim loves you.
Yeah, so we've rounded the bend a few times on this one, but we've got remakes, we've got remasters. A recent announcement for a re-release, at least to me, that I really hope leads to something.
Yeah,
is they're releasing Star Wars Republic Commando on the Switch.
Yes, yeah, dude, like
that was an OG Xbox game back when the original like behemoth toaster oven Xbox.
Do I hang on? No, that's right. I put mine over there on the entertainment. I was gonna grab it and show it.
Wait, do you have enough strength in both hands to lift it? Do you have?
I have a dolly cart in the garage. I can.
You might need to get like an engine lift in order to get that thing.
Dude, it might throw my back out. But I mean, it's a big box for any of you that are younger that watch this. The original Xbox. I mean, it was big. It was big.
Well, you also have to remember though, it was I think the first system that had a built-in hard drive, but this was also back before.
Maybe I know it was one of the first.
Right. I mean, it was early on, but this was back before they had SSDs. So I mean, we're talking like full-on platter drive.
Like that. Yeah, there we go. I'll do the horizontal vertical. You do.
Yeah, there you go. Just a thick drive,
I mean,
big hunking
yeah.
hard drive.
We're
Um,
old. We're old, all right?
right. Well, I mean, admittedly, the hard drive in my very first computer was 512 meg.
Dude, okay, back that used to be big back in the day, all right? Like,
Maybe.
I mean, my phone has more memory than like my first probably 3 computers put together. That's
Oh yeah,
telling
I
you.
mean,
I mean,
my smartwatch probably has more memory
yeah.
than my my first three computers. I mean, I think I still have my very first hard drive in a box in my closet. Um, Not for nefarious reasons. Um, anyway,
He's got to blackmail himself when he gets old and senile.
exactly. Plug that in 10 years and go, what the hell was I thinking?
Right.
Anyway,
But
so
yeah. I mean, I think you and I both own that, didn't we? Because I know I
I
did.
think so.
Yeah.
I think I still have my copy. I think I still have my physical copy downstairs somewhere.
I do as well in my random game drawer. I think. But no, I saw that was getting released, and I'm like, I can see myself playing that again. You know. I mean,
Hmm.
and that's not even getting It's just re-released as it was.
I think they might be doing a little bit of like FPS boost or some maybe
Okay.
a little bit of graphic upscaling, but they're not really doing much of it.
Which I
And
mean, there are some games like that I'm perfectly okay with that. Like, I had bought for my Switch as well a while back Turok 1 and 2.
oh, there you go.
Yeah, well, like you can get them digitally. Limited Run Games was doing a thing where you could get physical packaging for them, and I'm like, that's something I'd like to have in my collection. And like I picked them up, and I mean, same thing. Apart from making it upscaling the resolution a little bit to make it look better on an actual 720 but high def screen, and
Right.
and making it have a more consistent frame rate. It's exactly how I remember it. Which I mean, I was playing that and, like I had such
Bloody
nostalgia.
hard.
Yeah, dude. Well, I had such nostalgia playing that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like I still have like I haven't gotten rid of them. I haven't sold them, anything like that. They're still sitting with all my Switch games upstairs, and that's one that like I will still pop that out from time to time just to play old school Turok, and it still has the cheat codes in it. Still has the cheat codes, so you can get like
Yes.
big head mode and all that. Oh man,
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
love that
Big
stuff.
head mode and yeah, that was. But yeah, I mean, re-releasing those old games, I think, is a good. That's a lot of fun. That's great for nostalgic gamers. Tim just killed himself.
Yeah.
Um,
Ow.
Maybe
Well,
this is why we don't do
oh.
things on camera.
Well, no, because then you just hear me scream. Ow.
Squelch. Um, yeah, so I get kind of the same thing with the Mass Effect series. It kind of re-energizes people's
Yeah.
interest and stuff like that. But where I'm hoping it goes is that it leads into a sequel Republic Commando game, because that
Yes.
game was
Oh man.
amazing. Like, it was
Right.
so much fun. It had amazing AI. The
Uh,
weapons were fun. The squad mates were great.
you know what it could be?
Mhm.
Bad Batch.
Could be.
Because isn't the whole thing of the Bad Batch series that they announced is it's clones that for whatever reason the Order 66 command that just didn't take with them. Isn't that the whole thing with that series?
No, the Bad Batch.
Or what? I'm thinking of something. There was a comic series where they did that. I think.
Yeah, well, that's also kind of the whole thing with like Captain Rex and some of
Yeah.
his compadres. And again, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen it, sorry, shut off the podcast now. Rex and some of the clones, you know, they had their their control chips removed so that
Right.
they didn't go through with Order 66. I'm not 100% certain how the Bad Batch works, but the Bad Batch is basically like clones that didn't quite, like, they weren't perfect clones, like they had some
Oh,
kind of genetic mutation,
they
so
were
that's why they're
literally
called
the Bad
they're
Batch. Okay.
yes, they're quote unquote defect clones.
Okay. So
Like,
they're gonna end
one
up in
of
the
them
bargain bin.
basically, but then they got formed into kind of this elite like Black Ops squad because they have specializations. Like, one of them is this
Oh.
huge, like, he's kind of meek, like physically he's kind of meek, but he's uber smart and whatnot.
Okay.
And then you have one that kind of looks like Brick from the Borderlands series,
All
who's
right. A wall of muscle.
yes, he's a wall. I think his name's like Crusher or something, or
Okay.
something like that.
Right.
But yeah, very much a meathead. You know, the type of clones that literally picks up like super battle droids in each hand and just smashes them together, a la Hulk or something like
All
that.
right,
So
I'm down with
that's
that.
who. Yeah, that's who the Bad Batch is.
Okay,
Which Bad Batch I believe is releasing May 4th, which is Star Wars Day.
of
May the
course.
4th
Yep,
be with you.
absolutely.
On Disney Plus. Please send the check. So,
Also, Disney, Falcon and Winter Soldier is really good. Here's my endorsement. We'd appreciate an
yes,
endorsement from you.
yes. So,
but no, yeah, like I get you. Like, you know, with the Mass Effect trilogy getting re-released, you know, that's going to segue into Mass Effect 4. Maybe bring people that haven't played the series or that it's been a while since they played it, get them fresh into it, or, you know, new into it, get them ready for that fourth one. I would be absolutely down for another Republic Commando. Like, it seems like a lot of the times, a lot of like these re-releases or remasters or whatnot are just cash grabs, but they do a really good
Skyrim.
Okay, I I'm gonna segue for a second. I saw a meme the other day because, you know, Bethesda is part of Microsoft Studios, which means that their games are on Xbox Game Pass. And it was a meme of Todd Howard, you know, like they photoshopped his head onto an angel's body, and there's just mountains of copies of Skyrim beneath of him. And it said, "I have finally found a way to make you pay for Skyrim forever." And it just down at the bottom, it just says the Xbox Game Pass logo. but no, like a lot of them, but most, in my opinion anyway, at least maybe it's just the ones that I notice. The nostalgia factor for me makes me go, yeah, I'll buy it again. You know, like I'll be honest, if they release like a full 4K, I know I'm a hypocrite saying this, a full 4K Skyrim on the newer consoles, I'd probably pick it up.
Well, that kind of does segue into something for me. Yeah, it does. It is. It's a really good game. It does kind of segue into something for me though as well. But Skyrim, you know, the Game Pass thing with Bethesda, you know, I'm definitely kind of getting off kilter here, but it's, to me, it's really awesome. Not only because I'm an Xbox fan and now I've got this huge library of games available to me, but they're bringing back Morrowind, Oblivion.
Dude, I saw Morrowind on the Game Pass the other day.
Right, with FPS boost in next gen consoles. So it's not getting a graphics overhaul, but it's getting FPS boost to make it look better, look a little bit more streamlined,
perform better.
But we're talking about a game that released on the OG Xbox back 13, 15 years ago.
It's been a while, dude. It's been a while.
I mean,
that Morrowind, I think, was one of the earliest games I picked up for my original Xbox.
Yeah, I remember because I was over at your house playing it. You know, Morrowind and you know, Oblivion. World. Yeah, that was on the PlayStation.
I thought we had that on the Xbox because we did a 4-player.
I thought it was on the PlayStation. Might have been on Xbox. I don't remember.
I think so. Well, yeah, because we played with Kevin and he had an Xbox.
Gotcha. That's right.
Because that was the one I pulled the power cord because he was being an asshole. And he never forgave me. He still hasn't. He brought that up like a week ago, actually.
Of course. So, I just did a quick Google. So, we're dating ourselves again. The original Xbox released November 15th of 2001.
Oh my god. So, almost just shy of 20 years ago.
Yes, we are just shy of 20 years that console has been out now.
That is insane. It doesn't feel like it's been that long.
No, it really doesn't. Man. So, you know, there's this console, you know, again, defined Tim and I's childhood, but so we have these games that are being 20-year-old games that are coming back to enthrall a new generation. And I think in the case of Star Wars, you know, it's probably multi-tier with, you know, you've got things like Mandalorian, you've got the new final season of Clone Wars, you've got Bad Batch coming out, you've got all of their new shows. So, you know,
the High Republic series that they're launching now, which
Disney
the books are good.
Disney and Lucasfilm are really doing a really good job in reinvigorating the series and reinvigorating the IP of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it seems like a good time to kind of bring back some of these things. And I think there's even might be talk of a Battlefront 3, Star Wars Battlefront 3, maybe?
Now, do you remember the original Battlefront 1 and 2?
Oh, yeah.
They had planned... They planned... Did you read about the canceled third one of that original series?
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
the alternate timelines of what, like, Obi-Wan became the Sith Lord instead of Anakin. Like one of the, I think it was one of the designers, like character designers, at like long after he, was that project got canceled and whatnot, he released a lot of his concept art, and fans immediately went, "What? They didn't think anybody would play this? Do you not know who your fans are? We love alternate histories. We love
Right.
alternate timelines and universes. Why did you not give this to us?" Like, I would have played the crap out of that. Like, it had like they had planned a full blown, like, several movie length story
Right.
showing off this alternate world where things were quite a bit different, and they just went, yeah, there's no market for it.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. It's a very EA thing to do,
Yeah.
but this was also back in the day before there was really online multiplayer. Like that was only a co-op game, so you couldn't really do online
Yeah.
multiplayer. So,
Well, I
you know,
mean,
that's where some of the stuff for Battlefront 2 is, they've got their loot box system and things like that.
which got a lot of bad press when they first put it out. But...
Right. But, again, I'm really hoping that, this drums up enough interest again in some of these series, these games that we can enjoy, that we can expect and hope for a new, a sequel, or
or
or even
something.
a remaster. As
Dude,
much as I would,
ooh.
as much as I would be sad about a remaster
Yeah.
for um, Republic Commando,
You'd
like
still
I
buy it.
want. Oh yeah, I'd still buy it and I'd play it.
Same.
But I want, I want, I want, I'm hoping that they really take to these re-releases and remasters and remakes as an opportunity to expand the universe and
Mhm.
continue on some of these beloved series.
Oh yeah.
We're still expecting they'll probably 4K upscale Skyrim about six months to a year before Elder Scrolls 6 comes out
I mean, let's call it how it is.
to drum up interest.
Yep.
My hope is that the next Fallout game won't be Fallout 70, 77, and be
Yeah.
something that's decent. But
I mean, like, 76 had a lot of promise, but I think, and I know somebody's gonna send us hate mail over this. I think Todd Howard is slowly turning into Peter Molyneux.
it's
I mean,
possible.
have you noticed, like Molyneux, like his first couple games were pretty good. There were a couple promises he didn't deliver on, but they were pretty good. Then we started getting into the Fable series. Like Fable 1, okay, he promised a lot that wasn't there, but it's still a good game. Fable 2, he promised even more that wasn't in there, and it was an okay game. Fable 3 was Fable 3. That being said, this kind of goes back to something Ian said earlier about being the Xbox fanboy. He finally talked me into getting a. I picked up an Xbox Series S because I have Game Pass. Thank you, Ian. And being the bastard that I am, the very first game I played on my brand new next gen Xbox was Fable 3. But
Well, maybe it actually found a system that it could run on without crashing.
well, I was gonna like surprisingly, like, you had talked about the load times. I mean, they're pretty much non-existent in that game. But no, it runs. I mean, it's an Xbox 360 game. It runs really good on it. But anyway, no, it's Skyrim. We're kind of touching on that. Like, I think the list of currently produced media that it's not on is a shorter list than what it is on. I mean, last gen systems, technically playable on new gen systems. The Switch has it. It has it on PC.
I think the only thing that it's actually
mobile.
not on is Stadia.
Yeah.
And well, to be completely fair, I could probably count the games on one hand that are on Stadia.
Which I see that's a shame because, like, I mean, it seemed like Google had a really good idea. I mean, they've got the money behind them to make something really impressive. But then, within a month of it coming out, a couple studios said, "Yeah, we're pulling our games." Then a few more studios, then a few more studios, and now it's like, so, what? Give me a, like, if Google contacted me right now and gave me 10 good reasons why I should get this thing, cool. I don't know of any good reasons why. Maybe I'm just not the target audience, but anyway, no. No, I going back to what we were talking about. I do agree with you. I mean, nostalgia is definitely a big factor when it comes to bringing back old games. Like, I mean, you and I were talking about a remaster that I'm going to be buying later today. Parappa the Rapper. It's on sale right now, and I can't say no to that. But I do think it is nice when they re-release an old game because they're coming out with something new. I mean, yeah, it is a little bit of a cash grab, but again, for people that never played the original, especially if it's a story-based game, that it's kind of important that you know the story, or maybe you just haven't played it forever and you want to re-experience that before the new one. I think that's a great thing to do.
Mhm.
But then you get other games that come out with reboots, and like Call of Duty's had a couple of their older games get remastered, and whoop de doo.
Right. It was kind of like when they remastered Modern Warfare, like the very first Modern
Yeah,
Warfare a
which
few
I
years
mean,
ago. Like,
a lot of
okay,
fans
yeah,
really like that. There are
right.
people
That
that
was like
like it.
that was a fun game. Like I played it. It was
Yeah,
enjoyable. I mean, the storyline of a Modern Warfare game is maybe 8 to 10 hours worth of game time. So it's like
if
if
yeah,
it's like, well, I don't know if I really want to pay for pay $60 for
yeah,
8 hours of game time because I'm not going to do the multiplayer.
right.
So like,
Like
um,
back when I still lent my soul to GameStop. They as managers they would give us the new Call of Duty every single year, and it was a gift from the manufacturer, from Activision. Pretty much as it wasn't a bribe, but it was, hey, play our game and tell people how good it is.
right,
So like for a couple years, like I played every single Call of Duty for years, but I knew it wasn't for me. I wanted to play it just so if people had questions about it, I could answer those questions. I could help them make educated decisions. If they, if a parent came in and wanted to know, well, okay, do you think this game is appropriate beyond just looking at the ratings? Which no, it's not for kids. Um, I could tell them, okay, well, I played it. Here's what I experienced in the game. Or if gamer came in like, hey, I played it last year. Is this year's any different? But those are the kind of games that, again, maybe I've been saying this a lot. Maybe I'm not the target audience. Those are the kind of games that I don't see the big need to replace. It'd be like if they said, "Hey, Madden '99, we're going to be remastering it and re-releasing it for you."
what's the difference
Who's
between
that for?
Madden 99, Madden '09, Madden 19? I mean,
It's a roster update. I mean,
it's a roster and a mild graphical update,
yeah.
and then loot boxes.
I
That's
I
basically it these days.
I used to tell people, again back in my GameStop days, like play Madden every other year. The higher ups didn't like me saying that, but I mean honestly, from one year to the next, for the most part, all you were getting was a roster update. If you
Yeah.
skipped a year or skipped even 2 years, not only were you getting that roster update, but that gave them enough times to make the graphics a little better, tweak the gameplay a little bit, add some new features, instead of paying $60 a year for the same game. But
Right.
I mean that's like your point. That's kind of what we're doing with remasters. Is we're paying typically full retail price for a game we've already played. In a lot of cases, it's absolutely worth it. But in other times, it's like, who are you remaking this for, or why did you remake this? You know?
I think there's a I don't know. It's almost like a statute of limitation or a time period that you have to a minimum time period that you have to have before you decide you want to remaster a game.
Right? There should be. There should
Like
be.
I love I really enjoy Skyrim. It's it's an all time favorite.
Oh, absolutely.
I've sunk hundreds of hours into that game.
Yep.
The mod community is amazingly
Oh
fun.
my god. Yeah. One of
It's
my friends, like that's he can't remember the last time he played vanilla Skyrim, and he has hundreds and hundreds of hours, like probably well over several thousand hours at this point into
right.
modded Skyrim, just because he loves seeing like what he can do, how he can make these mods interact with each other. But
Yeah.
like how there's people out there they've literally bought like every like all right, bought Skyrim. Oh, then I bought Skyrim Special Edition. Oh, then I bought Skyrim Legendary Edition. Oh, they re-released it for this. I'm gonna buy it for that. The,
Yeah, a friend and former coworker of mine, Bryce. Which shout out to you, Bryce, if you're watching the podcast.
Hi, Bryce.
He owns it on every platform, and has openly stated like I probably don't even play it, all that much. But at this point, I own so many copies. If they come out with another one, I might as well just get it so that I can
Right.
say that I have it.
Now,
So
like I went on my soapbox there about buying Skyrim on every console. This is also the guy that's bought every re-release of Chrono Trigger, but that's an amazing game. So
yes,
that's like
yes.
all time like top three games. That's easily always
Right.
there.
Well, admittedly, it's also one of the again, it's one of those games that drums up nostalgia for us.
Yes.
Skyrim's it's an older game at this point,
Yeah,
but
it's
to me
not
it's
Super
still not a
Nintendo old.
game. Right, it's still not a game that can drum up that nostalgia because it's
Yeah,
still new, and it doesn't help that they release a new version every year. So it's
it
like,
seems
okay,
like it.
like, all right, come on,
Guess I'm gonna
Bethesda, you're
buy
gonna
it.
hit me. You're gonna hit me with the Skyrim stick again.
Yep.
But so it's it, it's one of those it's one of those things where I feel like they need to have a period of time before they want to do a reboot or a remaster or a remake of a series. Like
Right.
I think Final Fantasy VII had a
So
perfect amount of time.
it
Like
was long enough that it seems like a distant memory, but it was favored enough that it was something that people genuinely wanted.
the other thing with that is that they also were not afraid to essentially port it to new systems. Like it's on
Yeah,
PC. I own it through Steam.
yeah, same,
I actually own it on my Switch too.
same.
Um I I don't think I've honestly booted it up on my Switch,
Yeah, but you
but
own it.
I own it because I got it for like $5 or something like that. So it's like,
Right,
oh
right.
sure, why not?
There you go.
But they haven't sat there and punched you in the face with it every year.
Right, yeah.
Which is kind of what they did with Skyrim, where it's like, hey Bethesda, what do you have new coming on? Well, we're working on some fun IPs, and have you seen this game Skyrim?
Oh,
Let me.
tell me about. I've never heard of this game.
Right. It's like, well, yeah, I have heard of that game, Bethesda, but what else have you gone on? Well, I mean, we do have Fallout 76, but have you heard about Skyrim?
Yeah, for a while they were pretty obnoxious about it. I'll admit.
Yeah. So there's this period of time that I think is really good for uh you have these releases, remasters, those kind of things. Don't drink the tea bag itself.
Yeah,
Um
I about did there.
so yeah, I personally think that Republic Commando is almost too long. I mean, it almost feels like it's too long to come back, but at the same
Right.
time, it's a game that I fell in love with 20 years ago. So I'm
Right.
just like, gimme, 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 gimme.
Right.
Anyway,
Well,
and it's probably a game that I'll probably I'll see if I can't get a physical copy, so that because my kids have Switches, well,
right.
two of them do, and I know my son would love to play the
Oh
game.
yeah. Well,
So
he likes Star Wars, so
yeah, yeah, that's an understatement.
yeah.
Anyway, but so
Well, here,
they can have,
I was gonna say,
they
go ahead.
I was gonna say a period of time is I think necessary. Trying to do it too soon just makes it a cash grab.
Right. But on the other hand, though, trying to do it too late can almost hurt it a little bit, especially like if it's one of those games that, like, I mean, Republic Commando, I feel like just about everybody that you and I hung out with in high school played that game.
Oh yeah,
I mean, all of us had Xboxes. We all were having Halo parties all the time. But if it's a game where like yeah, there was some fan following, but it wasn't that big, and they waited 20 years, I don't know if there would be that much nostalgia for it.
right.
Like there was one of my favorite game series that got a sequel a few years back was Toe Jam and Earl. Like I played the crap out of those back on the Genesis back in the day. Never picked up the third one on. I think it came out on the original Xbox, if I remember right. Never had a chance to pick it up. But then they came out with another sequel not too long ago for Switch, PS4, Xbox, PC, and it was really good. It was really true and faithful to the originals. But I mean, obviously they had new graphics for it, new gameplay mechanics, so it was. And I mean, it did pretty well from what I know. I thoroughly enjoyed the crap out of it. I've beaten it a couple times actually, but that was one of those that it had a very specific fan following. And I know
Yeah.
it's a sequel, not a re-release or whatnot. But I mean, you still have that nostalgia factor of people that played it that absolutely wanted to play it again. But for people that maybe the series is just it's been out too long, or people that have never played the original, never even heard of it, there's not that sense of nostalgia. They might look at it and go, "Oh, that looks like a fun game," and play it, but they might not go out of their way to find that game.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like if they were to, you know, if they were to introduce like a game that we played and we actually laughed about over Christmas time. If you remember, Whacked. Yep. Grind up a pig, put it in
a
a can,
scrapple.
yeah. If
you
they did
haven't if you haven't played Whacked on the original Xbox, find a copy of it. It is a great party game.
yes, it is. But I mean, that's like if they were to do a re-release or a remaster of
Okay,
Whacked now. It's like,
I would probably buy that. I would buy it though, and you
Oh,
would play it.
oh yes, totally. But I mean, that's for a very small target audience. But my point is like making that. Or do you remember the 360 game Sadeki? It was one of their launch titles.
Main character. No, I don't actually. I don't think I do.
It was like a four characters. It's like this third person type over like fantasy game.
Yeah. I remember it.
The one character is like the blue haired princess that's wearing a bikini for most of the game for some reason.
I remember Sudeki. Yep.
I mean, it released
but
right. It released it. Well, oddly enough, throughout in that game, this was one of those games where it's like, as you progress through the game and she gets armor upgrades, she gets more clothing rather than less. So it was like, oh, that's an odd turn
for a
That's
fantasy
an odd
game.
turn. Right, exactly.
Huh.
I mean, she starts out wearing next to nothing, and then she slowly gets more clothing. Like, okay, that makes sense now.
All right.
Anyway, but I mean, that was a 2004 game that was an Xbox Game Studios and an OG 360. I mean, I think that was one of their launch titles for the 360. It's like, if they were to do a remaster now, it's like, why?
Like there would be a very small audience, at least in my opinion. So we're very here.
Right. Well, I mean, Sudeki's also old enough that it never got a sequel, it never got a remaster, it never got a re-release.
Yep. It probably won't.
Right. I mean, it's 3 console generations old at this point. I mean, released in 2004 for crying out loud. I mean, the game's
been a while.
16 years old, and it only ever got the one version release. It actually might not have even been a 360 game. I'm sorry, it might have actually been an OG Xbox game.
Really?
So yeah, it's 4 console generations old at this point. It never got anything else.
Like you said, it was a Microsoft Studios game. Like they never even really mentioned it since then.
No, I mean,
whenever they talk about the history of Xbox, like they show off plenty of clips of Master Chief and Xbox Live, the various menus of the console, some of their other classic games. I don't think Sudeki's one that they've ever really mentioned.
No, which is interesting because it's got a 72% on Metacritic, a 7.8 on IGN. So I mean,
those are a good game, not a great game. Those are a good game,
right? Those are respectable scores. I played it, I beat it. I mean, the gameplay was engaging and fun. It was short though, like it was really short. But anyway, so tying it back together, that's one of those games. It's like cool. Like if they announce a re-release, I would just have to go, why?
Right.
Like, what are you trying to do?
Opposite point of that, what game, if they announce, like, doesn't matter how obscure it is, if they announced a remake for it, what would be your number one game that, like, day one instant purchase?
Oh man, if they announced a game,
like let's say here, I'll make it a little more specific. They're doing a Final Fantasy VII remake style reboot of it, like completely overhauling the game and re-releasing it.
Yeah, that one. Man,
you got to think about that.
Yeah, I got to think about that. I mean, I'm getting my, I'm getting my remaster of Mass Effect, so I'm pretty happy about that. And but oh man, I don't know. Like that one's a toughie. Like I'd have to go back and look at my game library just to see kind of what's out there and really think about it. 'Cause there's some of those games that like I loved them growing up, but it's been so long since I touched them that I almost have to like flip through, right. I have to like flip through the Rolodex of games that that I used to have to really remember like what I played. Sometimes you just need that nostalgia feeling. Like we were talking before the cast came out. EA Plays now on Xbox Game Pass for PC, and I saw Command and Conquer Remastered. So now I'm going.
Like you were a big Command and Conquer guy back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. But well, what about you? I mean, is there a game that if they said right now we're gonna remake, completely overhaul this?
Chrono Trigger. No, honestly, if they gave Chrono Trigger a Final Fantasy VII style like remake, I don't care what collector's edition you put out. I will get a second mortgage. it must be mine. It must be mine. Like, I mean, that like I remember I played the original Chrono Trigger on Super Nintendo when it came out. Absolutely loved it because it was so unique compared to any other game that I had played. I think that was I think, if not the one of the first RPGs I ever played on a game home console. And then
Okay.
they re-released it on PlayStation 1. I think it was the first one that I remember. And it actually like all the characters were designed by Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually what got me noticing Dragon Ball. I was like, hey, these characters look the same.
Oh.
When they put out the PS1 re-release of it, they actually had full animated scenes for some of the cutscenes, and I that just blew my mind. You know that, like, because by that point I knew who Toriyama was, and
Right.
to see his art style done for these characters in this game that I'd grown so attached to, like
Right.
if they kept that kind of art, they kept true to that art style and re-released it, like a Final Fantasy VII remake style treatment. Oh yeah, that would be it for me.
Oh, it
Now,
doesn't really. I mean, it's interesting to me that if the main character Chrono looks like Super Saiyan God Goku.
yeah,
Um,
it really
so
does.
reusing a character. Toriyama's just basically like knocked over a bookshelf or something of his old drawings. Like,
That one.
oh, huh, maybe I should reuse that one.
Right.
Anyway, I did think of one.
Oh, okay. What do you got?
Super Mario RPG.
Okay. Yes. I mean, that one, like, people have been wanting a remake or even a proper sequel to that for years.
Right.
But I
Because
think,
Paper
like,
Mario was
so
like a
much, there's
spiritual
so
sequel,
much,
but it was
yeah.
yeah.
Like, so much
But
that is, like, the rights are owned by so many different people that it's like,
well, yeah, because
we
it
can't.
was a SquareSoft game, SquareSoft
Yeah.
developed game for
Before they were Square
Nintendo.
Enix, yeah.
Right. So it was SquareSoft for Nintendo. It's Nintendo's characters. They own the IP and everything else. But then there was the falling out with Squeenix after
Yeah.
seven, Final Fantasy VII and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, um, I would, I would day one pay money,
Okay.
absolutely to have a remaster or a remake of that game because
Right.
it is probably one of my all time favorite RPGs.
Yeah.
I've played through it, geez, probably 6, 7 times.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah,
well,
you were
it
quite a
didn't
fan of
help.
that game.
Yeah, well, it also didn't help that I loaned it to a friend of ours who erased my save game. So I was like,
Oh.
anyway, that was back when your save was on the cartridge. So if you
Yeah.
loaned someone the cartridge, you loan them your save file.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Oh,
erased
man.
my game. Anyway, and then I'm pretty sure my
Oh,
siblings erased my copy or my games a couple of times.
so okay. Speaking of games being on cartridges, I don't know if I told you, like maybe a year ago, I was at a garage sale and I picked up for N64 Shadows of the Empire.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Okay, so I had owned that game, when I was a kid for the N64, like I said, and I remember I don't remember. I had sold a bunch of my games at a garage sale. I was saving up for something, and I was like, I'm just gonna sell a bunch of my games. They're worth a lot. So I picked up this game, popped it into my N64, went to play it, and the first save file, like the save name, was Tim. I'm like, oh, that's funny. The second save file was Wampa Stompa, which you remember if you did that, it was like cheat codes for something. And I
Yeah.
remember I had a second save file that was called Wampa Stompa. And the third save file, I don't remember what it said, but I'm like the whatever the name was, I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is my copy. Because like the
Nice.
whatever the third save file was, it was a friend or a relative of mine. I'm like, okay, the odds of save file 1 being Tim, save file 2 being Wampa Stompa, which is how I had mine set up, and then the third save file name being it might have been our friend Daniel, actually. I think might have been
Might have.
the third save file. But I'm like, what are the odds of that?
Huh.
And I'm
It's
like,
come full circle.
I bought my own game back for I mean, I sold it for like $30 and bought it for 2. So I mean, hey, profit 20 years later.
Right. Even though your mom probably bought you the game originally, so you profited. I don't know that she did.
Yeah, because that would have been before, because I think that the console that was out when I got my first job, the newest one was GameCube.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I remember buying Mario Sunshine was GameCube, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember buying Mario GameCube when I was working at the toy store. The toy store that
Oh yeah.
hired me specifically to run their video game section because everybody else there was like 50 years old at the toy store and knew
Right.
nothing about games, and I was in there like every week to buy a game. So they hired me specifically for that. But anyway,
Right.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it is neat, kind of going off that. I mean, if we're talking about nostalgia, like having your game save tied to that cartridge, like in this day
Hmm.
and age, that's such a foreign concept. Like my son has an Xbox game. If he wants to play it in the living room, he can pop it into an Xbox out there and play it, and his save will just magically travel through the interwebs and be there on that console. He doesn't have to
Right.
worry about if he breaks that disc and has to buy another one, his save is still there. And even if he
Yep.
deletes it off his system, it's still in the cloud. But anyway,
Yeah.
nostalgia.
Right. So I think we've kind of covered quite a lot here, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we've gone over our normal allotted time period.
Oh
So sorry about that, folks. But I think we'll probably try to wrap it up for now. But yeah. So um, remakes, remasters, reboots, they all kind of have a place.
yeah.
They
Usually.
I generally want to have a purpose behind them, though. Like, I get it, I understand it. I don't want it to be a cash grab. EA.
Will we still buy
Um,
those cash grabs? Probably.
Probably, if it elicits enough feelings of nostalgia
Yeah.
and oh my god, oh my god, oh my god type
Right.
moments, Mass Effect. Anyway, so there's a time and a place for them.
Mhm.
I think they're merited most of the time, so long as they have a purpose, and really so long as they bring somebody joy. Like, I'm not
Oh
trying to
yeah.
crap on anybody, like on anybody serious. I'm not saying that Sudeki, if that was your all-time favorite game, shouldn't have a reboot or a remaster or something like that. If you loved it that much, then campaign for it. But
Yeah, I mean,
I,
if,
I just don't
if
know
you
that.
like it, let us know. Hey, we'd love to.
Right.
I'd love to talk to somebody that liked that game. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
beyond
So
beyond Ian.
right. Well, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool, but would I, am I going to go out of my way to try to find a copy? No, even though I think I might still have my copy. I don't know.
Well,
Anyway,
you should
I
go out of
never
your way
get
to
rid of.
find that copy.
Right. I never get rid of games. So, I mean, I've still got some of my OG Xbox games. Anyway,
Oh yeah.
I think that'll probably do it for tonight. Do it tonight for us, folks. That came out weird. Words, pain,
So,
hard.
so 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 far, people are doing us tonight, and we're boning our game systems. So, all right. Good
Exactly.
night, everybody.
Yeah. So, anyway, I think we'll go ahead and sign off for now. We hope that you enjoy the new format. We're just kind of trying things out, playing things. You could unfortunately look at our ugly mugs. And if you don't like the format, then you're welcome just to open it in a new tab and
Or just listen to our
the audio.
podcast on your podcast provider of choice.
Right, hosted on Anchor.fm. You can find us on Spotify, I believe, Google Podcasts, Anchor.fm. Are we still waiting for Apple, or did that?
Yes, I'm probably going to resubmit to them because it shouldn't have taken this long. So
Probably not. So anyway, find us out there. Give us a listen, YouTube, all those other fun places. But
yep,
anyway, so
all of our info
uh,
is at www.nonsequiturnerds.com. All one word.
yes, and Tim and I kind of share web mastering duties, and I've been
By share,
lazy
he
and
means I
haven't.
make him do it.
Yes, and I've been kind of lazy and haven't updated the page lately, so my apologies. I'll try to get around to it. But the audio version of the podcast hosted on Anchor will update automatically each week. So our new episodes drop Mondays at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So give us a listen. The YouTube video might be a little bit delayed because I think we have to. Sometimes it takes Tim to schedule it.
Oops.
So anyway,
8 a.m. is not 8 p.m., just to let everybody out there know.
yes, this is why I use military time, because then I don't get confused
Yeah.
as much.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thanks for listening, folks. I think we'll go ahead and call it a night for now. So for non sequitur nerds, I'm wishing you all a good night. I'm Ian.
And I'm Tim. Have a good one, everybody.
Goodbye.